Well, good afternoon, Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and today is Thursday, the 13th, 2025 of November, and it is approximately 13:25. That's 1:25 p.m. Central Time. And I'm at home on Alaska, Texas, about 85 miles north of Spring, in my former house. Anyway, we're going to do a straight razor shave. I've got approximately, well over 3 days worth of whisker growth on my face. As you can see, it's can't miss it. It's standing right there in front of you. And so let's introduce the equipment and get on with some things. I don't have a lot to say, mostly about the yard work I'm doing and the project plans that my wife and I have. That I've got a couple of things to say about that, but let me pause here for a quick minute. Well, I'm sorry about that. That was an interval of about 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. I wanted to go and get something out of the closet to show you, where I have the other half of my shaving gear that is more long-term use, or stuff that's in reserve that I don't use as often as I have my big cabinet here with all of my razors and brushes and soaps that I use on a continual rotational basis. But in the other one, in the closet, I've got my honing stones and all my reserve backup duplicate soaps and aftershaves and such like, as you don't use except on occasion. Anyway, as I say, the equipment for today is my razor. This is razor number 7 in my 7-day roll-up of the vintage mint condition razors that I have, and it's a duplicate razor. I just love these razors, and this is the Fritz Brock tennis razor. It's exactly like the one that holds the position number 1 in the same 7-day roll-up. It's in identically the same condition. It's number 87. And number 87, it says tennis Sulligan, made in Germany, and the backside says Fritz Brock Sulligan, Germany, on the tang there. Yeah, not too bad. And the nice little gold patch on the face of the blade. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the word. The interesting thing about this razor versus the other razor, this one, is honed on the Norton translucent. I don't have a Dan's Whetstone translucent, and I really ought to have one, but they're so expensive now. And so I'm going to wait for them to come down. If inflation ever gets, and the COVID economy ever gets readjusted to a pre-COVID economy, we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, and so this is one of the razors off the top of my head that I can definitely say was honed on the Norton translucent. And it seems to me the last time I used this, I did do a refresh on it, and we'll see how it shaves today. My soap this is going to be the second usage of the Detonate. I used to call it Deton 8 until my friend corrected me and said, no, it's a dupe of a high-end cologne, and it's called Detonate. Okay, I get it. Let's blow this thing up. All right, I did not have a shower, and so my whisker prep is going to be very important today. My brush is my new Sterling Soap Company 28 millimeter boar bristle knot. This is made by Zenith, which these brushes are just absolutely fantastic. And I went and looked at the website that Greg Gallant made mention of, the Gentle Shave, I think it's called, or something like that. That is like an American distributor for all of these, Zenith. And I looked at it, and they feel like they're broke in right out of the box, and they do. This is going to be it's either the third or fourth usage of this brush since I purchased it and got it in and started using it. So it hasn't been used a lot, but it's starting to feel just very, very nice. The 31 millimeter that I bought 2 years ago, all in all, it's probably had maybe 50 shaves with it, and I regard it as being broke in very nicely. The top of that knot feels so cotton ball-like, and I understand that's the way they're supposed to feel as they get broken in, and the ends of the bristles are split well, and what it's supposed to feel like. Well, I'll tell you, after the first usage, I started looking, because I know this game well enough, that after the first usage, I started looking at the bristles, and they were looking pretty well split right from the get-go. And so there's almost no prep time. This thing has been soaking maybe for 10 minutes as I've been doing my stropping. Went to the closet and got my stone. I want to show you that right now. And so with the translucent, the Norton translucent, it's an 8x3 by 1/2 inch, and this is it. And I love this stone in terms of the USGS scale. Dan's whetstone rates these as a 2.5 or greater, which is the same as the hard black or the surgical black or the true hard. Now, you have to take my word for it, but this is transparent or translucent all the way through from corner to corner. Every centimeter of this stone is translucent. If I put a light up against it, you would see its shine right through. If it were not translucent all the way through, this would be nothing more. I say nothing more, but still, it would be nothing more than an example of a true hard. If it were not translucent, it would be solid, no translucent, but it would have variegated colors, just like the true hard I have with the black and white variegated colors and the grays as well. But this is translucent, and it all the way through, every millimeter, every smallest measurement you can think of, it is translucent all the way through. And so that's supposed to make it a little bit better, a little bit more, and don't, as I've said many a time, and I've seen some others start to pick up on it, that those words that Dan's Whetstone uses on their website to describe the difference between the hard black, or what we call surgical black, and the translucent, fine, ultra fine, those are marketing terms. They are intended to, everybody loves the hard black, but it's not as expensive as the translucent. Why? Because they describe this one as ultra fine and the black one as extra fine. Well, what's the difference? And so you get over there and sit down and talk to them. The son, Steve, of Dan's Whetstone, the son, Steve, he will tell you those are marketing terms, and that's how they should be regarded. And I would remind all of us straight razor shavers and honers that their purposes in making Arkansas stones is not to satisfy the straight razor shaving community. It is to satisfy hunters, hunting knives and flint knap users and whatever else. It's not us. We're a very small minority of the business that they are focused, that they have any focus on. So when you call them to order a stone, let them know that it's going to be used for a straight razor, because that might adjust their thinking as to which stone they're going to cut for you to get your block, whatever size you order. And so that'll have some importance on that. All right, let's get to lathering. I haven't showered, so I got to pay special attention. I'm going to give myself a good massage, lather massage. You may have noticed my wrist. I don't know if you did or not, but you can see some of those red bites on there. As I was doing some of the work, I got some videos I'm going to post up with this video. Chainsaw duty, splitting, I got into some ants, is what happened. Got into some ants. So that's what those red bumps are. And they got down inside of my gloves that I was wearing. So my wife and I have been talking for the last 2-3 days about the next step on improvement and or expansion of our little homestead here, is that we are looking at building a shed. And now, we're both over 60 years old. She's 60, I'm 66 years old, and neither of us are spring chickens. And so most of the work that we've done on the property, porches, decks, we've had hired out, or we've done a little bit, like the back outside deck. We did that. It took us about a week working at our pace. And so we've had it in mind as a part of the process here to build a 12 by 24 deck, or not deck, storage shed. And also have a little room for maybe a little work area in there with a workbench. And we've gotten some quotes on them, anywhere from $3,500 to $6,500. We're a little peculiar in that we want to use 2x6 flooring, 2x6 studs, and so forth. And so that ups the price a little bit. We've had 2 people who said they would give us what we want, the 2x6 wood framing. And one company even actually came out here and started to build And my wife saw that they were pulling out the 2x4s, and she said, no, 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 no. And we had a written quote. And you know, them lousy rascals, they disassembled what they had already started, which wasn't much, and got in their truck and drove away. And of course, we don't want that to happen again. Oh, we misunderstood. Yeah, we it's in writing. How did you misunderstand what you... Yeah, anyway. And then we had the same exact thing happen with somebody that my wife was going to bring out this week. In fact, they were supposed to start on Tuesday of this week, until she realized that in her written quote, 2x6s, but when these people don't pay attention, and so we were very disappointed in that. So that's part of the process that has led us to consider building this storage shed on our own. And of course, by doing that, we're going to save a lot of money. We're just going to have to pay for the expenses. It's going to allow us to increase the size from a 12 by 24 to an 18 by 24. Also, the savings by doing it ourselves is going to allow us to buy some tools that we've been considering. But we'll say more about that as the occasion draws nearer. So in terms, and we're going, the deck, or the 2x6 deck that this shed will be built on will actually be bigger than the 16 by 24, because we want to have an extension of the deck that goes around the structural building of the shed. And so that's going to be interesting as well. I don't know how much bigger, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it ends up being 24 by 30 or bigger. But we'll see. We'll see. But it's going to allow us, if we do it ourselves, it's going to allow us to save money and buy some tools that we've been wanting to buy. Now, we're following a guy on YouTube by the name of Jeff at Home Reno Vision DIY, and his name is Jeff. And I hope I got that right. I may stick in a link to his site, and he's got a whole series on building a shed, and I think each of the series, when all put together, is probably close to 4 or 5 hours. But anyway, all right, here we go. Translucent, Norton translucent. Norton hard translucent Arkansas bench stone. So here we go. Well, it might be time for a refresh on this. I don't know. It just a little tuggy versus the hard black. And we did spend some time with that, refreshing that hard black razor. Well, today is Thursday, and I can hear which is our garbage day, and we live out here in the country in this little subdivision park called Canyon Park on Alaska, and I can hear the garbage truck coming. He normally comes between 1 and 3. In fact, that's him right now. Well, I'll probably spend some time on the stone with this, see if I can get a little more out of it, which I'm sure I can. I can tell just by just tugging a little bit, just a little bit, not bad. I'm still getting a very nice clean shave. And it just makes me wonder, can't I do better? Which I do believe I can. And you probably could tell by looking at the little short clip videos at the beginning of this primary video that you saw me doing a little something with the chainsaw, a little something with the splitting maul. So I've been busy doing. That's how I got into the ants. My wife had some extra, not extra, but she had some PTO days that she hadn't taken off, like 2 weeks worth, 80 hours. And so between now and the end of the year, she's going to take that time off. She's taking 2 days off, Thursday and Friday, and Tuesday next week. We've got our doctor's appointments in West Houston Medical Center, which that's like 120 miles from our new location here in Alaska. So a little bit of a hike from here to there. She's got in mind to change doctors. I don't. Yeah, my GP is over there, and my cardiologist is over there, and I love them both. Been with both of them for years, and I don't want to change. That's all right. She doesn't want to make the drive. Well, for twice a year, the cardiologist I've got to see every 1 to 2 years, and we'll see what he's got to say this next time. I don't think it's going to be much. But it's my first appointment since getting activated. I should have gone in September to the GP for my annual or my 6-month checkup, and but because of the delay in the activation of Medicare Part B, we got a bill, and that's my first experience with Medicare. And of course, it's government, right? Government. And I was expecting a bill for 3 months. Well, Medicare Part B is $185 a month. And so do the math. And I was expecting a bill for much less than the bill of $925 that came. And I called my Medicare Advantage rep, and I said to her, what's this all about? And I just love it. They're so quick to sign you up for something like Medicare Advantage with United Healthcare or something. And they're so quick, but once you're signed up and they've got you approved, it's kind of like they're an enrolling agent. They got their commission, and you're no longer their priority. You are no longer their concern. Well, I've taken you about as far as I can go. You may need to call Medicare directly, which is the last thing in the world that you want to do, because that gets you all caught up in the government phone cycle. But I will say, and I'll call the guy's name out, John Hobbs. I called Medicare, and I said, why am I getting a bill for $925 when I thought I'd be getting a bill for 3 months, which is whatever that is, but it's less than $600. And he went to looking and said, well, your initial application said that you wanted activation for October the 1st. And I said, yes, that's true, but we never heard anything, and they delayed, and then I thought it got shifted to November the 1st, and the bill itself even says 3 months of December, January, February, And then there's another, well, there was a little confusion on another page that they wrote. And it said, well, what it is that activation date of October the 1st that you put on the application through February, the end of February, up to March the 1st, that's what this bill is for. So this is for 5 months, it's not for 3 months. And so I did a quick calculation. And 185 times 5 is 925. So that made sense. And I said, okay, now that I understand, I'm happy to pay it. And I said to John at Medicare, I said, John, thank you for explaining it to me and helping me to understand. But nowhere on this paper bill that you just sent me that I just got over the weekend does this bill say that this is for October through February. If it said that, that would have made sense. I would not have been upset. I'm upset and confused. You've sorted it out for me, and I thank you for that. But why didn't it just say that to begin with? Well, I know, it's just one of the shortcomings of Medicare and the billing system. All right. Feeling pretty good. I know the rest of the shave is probably going to go easier now that I got the bulk of 3 days worth of whiskers off my face. But I'm still going to do the refresh on this, as I believe it will enhance the cut much better. So I'm going to do the refresh. I'll probably do one more shave with this razor and be done with the vintage mint collection, my vintage mint collection. I'll probably take a break from videoing going into the holidays, etc. Who knows? I don't know. what I do know is that over the last several shaves, I've had 3 days worth of growth. And my preferred elapsed time between shaves is 36 hours. That's not practical, so that becomes 48 hours, 2 days. And then somehow or another, something like yesterday, I fully intended to shave yesterday. I even set it up, started setting up my gear. Almost got to the point I had everything laid out, ready to go, ready to to strop. And first it became, honey, go to the store for me. Honey, go to the post office for me. Honey, go do this, go do that. So I had a whole bunch of honeydews to do right back together. And when I got back to back together, and so when I got done with those, I'm done. I'm done. So we're going to build this shed, it looks like, my wife and I. And I told her, I said, if we do this, we're going to have the right tools. We're going to make it easy on ourselves. We're going to do it in sections so that we know exactly what we're going to be doing. We'll do the deck portion of it, and then we'll do the frame out in one of the corners. So if we have a large deck of, say, I don't know, 16, bring that out to 24. That's 8 feet wider than what we need. And then, 24. And then 24 to 30, that would be 6 feet more than what we need on the end. Maybe a little more than that, though, maybe 32. Anyway, that would be 2 16s, wouldn't it? So, and then do the 18 by 24 in one of the corners, and we got an L shape that goes around it on the deck. And as I said, we were watching the YouTube videos of this guy named Jeff, Home Reno, short for renovation, I'm sure. Home Reno Vision or Visions DIY. And he makes, and these videos, he's got one on the decking, he's got one on the framing, he's got one on the next stage, and then the next stage, and then the next stage. And altogether, there's like 4-5 hours of videos that he's got, but they're edited to, they show you the process, they begin the process, then they fast forward, like you guys do with my videos. Right? Because they take so long. And so I'm reasonably confident we can do it. It's just the age thing, especially the roofing, getting rid, and the framing. All right, that was the end of the second pass, and so we'll lather up again and commence the third pass. All right. I've said before that sometimes you feel a little stubble right there and you want to go anywhere on your face, but especially right here for me. And I want to go again and try and get it closer and closer and closer. And really what you're doing, there's stubble there, all right, but I call it phantom stubble or phantom whiskers, because once your face dries and those follicles retract, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Nice and smooth. And so you have to learn for yourself and for your own face, how far do you push it? Because in all likelihood, you're going to shave again in the next 2 to 3 days. And are you going to get any more satisfaction pushing it now? And you hate to say it, but one slip, one extra stroke that you didn't have to take, and it slips and you got a nick and you got blood, and you get the difference between, do I do it or do I not do it? And I can't say that I follow my own advice. I'm just saying that maybe you don't have to. Maybe you don't have to take that last extra stroke to try and get what you think is going to end up being a closer shave, when in reality, you're not going to get any closer than what you already are. I don't know if I said it before, but one of the reasons I want to do this extra large shed build out is because I want an outdoor shaving station. And I'm not satisfied with, of course, I got to think about, I'm not satisfied with my bathroom setup. But it's tolerable, even though I'm using this tray, this bucket for water, which I'm not happy about. And outside would be good for days like today in the mid 70s or cooler. Well, that's just fine. Just fine. But an outside shaving station would be unpleasant in the hot summer with the high humidity. And even though I don't use the sink in the master bathroom, my little setup here is to be preferred indoors than a hot and humid, hot July summer afternoon outside in South Texas or coastal Gulf Coast, Texas. Oh, that feels just lovely. Just lovely. I will do the little follow on with the translucent later. Now we're going to do the head shave. We're going to stay with the Fritz Brock on the head shave. But having an outdoor shave station, and when I brought it up this morning to my wife, she says, you know, we'll get that spot on the patio we'll get hot and cold running water out there for you. And I said, well, that would be great. That would be great. We do, when we did the build out on the back deck, we did run water, a water line, a cold water line. Single line, I might add. And so I'm a little perplexed how we turn that into a cold water and hot water setup. We have in our utility closet where the hot water heater is, my wife did, when she was setting the place up, she went with an instant hot water, tankless water heater, they're called, I believe. And so there's a unit in there, and it's virtually brand new, but it kept popping off, and we'd have to switch over to the hot water heater. And that's what we've been on for the longest while, is the hot water heater. We're not using that tankless water heater system. And so we could probably dismount it from the utility closet and mount it under the cabinets where we got the water coming in, the cold water line, and turn that into a hot water when we get when we get the sink put in, and I'm just not quite sure how all that works. And so much of this stuff that we're doing is not electrified. We did bring electricity to the back patio, 2 circuits, 4 double boxes, and but we had an electrician come in and wire that all up for us. Now, the same guy said that the reason our hot water, tankless hot water system is probably not working to our satisfaction, or that, which is to say it's not working at all, is because it needed to have its own circuit line. It draws too many amps, and it was popping. You know what I mean when I say it was popping. And so if we do take it to the back patio, we're going to have to put it on its own circuit line. And the guy said, a 50 amp line is probably what it needs, he said. That sounds like a big overkill to me, but I'd rather be safe than sorry and give it more electricity, maybe, than what it actually requires. And when I say line, I meant circuit, a 50 amp circuit. That's what he said. I don't know enough about electricity. I know you got to be real careful with those breakers and the number of amps that you've got running out. You can't, a lot of the home circuits are anywhere from 10 to 15 amps, and they'll run so many. If you've got appliances that are popping circuits, you've got too much draw. This I know. And what they tell you not to do is take a 10, 15 amp breaker and swap it out for, say, a 20 amp when your copper electrical line going into that breaker circuit is not rated for the 20 or greater than what the original breaker circuit required. If it was a 10, 15 amp, that's the line, the copper line that goes into that has to be rated for 10 to 15. Anything over that, you've got to rewire, and who wants to do that? But people will do it anyway, and that's how electrical fires start in the home. But anyway. And then when the inspector and the fire marshal all find out that you had a breaker that was rated greater than the copper wire load would hold, all of a sudden you're at fault, and that you've just given the insurance company cause not to pay any claim that might be made for damages resulting from an electrical fire. All right, that feels just great. Yeah. All right, let's do the back of the neck, and then we'll move on to the refinements. I'm going to go ahead and put my brush down into the water, let it start soaking, get the soap out of the bristles, let it get a good soak. Okay, that's it for the head shave. Face shave, the head shave, both just excellent. Let's get some alum block and other refinements on there going. Dried the razor off with my what I call my dry towel. Set those aside so they're out of the way. Let's see now. Let's go here. Here's my water basin. Big Rubbermaid sort of thing. Whoops. Got a little cleanup to do. I overshot the basin a little bit. Got water on the back side of the sink. And last thing in the world I want is water leaking down into the cabinet. So give me a minute here to wipe this up before it starts running. Okay. I think that'll do. And I'm going to do a more thorough cleanup on the brush and of course the razors off camera when I'm done. Let's set this over here. All right. Well, I kind of got ahead of myself. Oh, that feels just amazing. Which is to say, no burn or very little burn. I thought there would be a little bit more burn. Let's put on some Thayers. And I'm going to go with Lime Sec. Here, just as a casual throw on, there's no rhyme or reason to my choice of aftershave or shaving leather. Boy, those ants sure took a good bite out of me. All right. That's it. I'm done. Thank you for staying with me, and I'll see you down the road.